This story is making the rounds, and it's near and dear to my heart because I spent some time in Malmo and did a report on Sweden. And I actually called UPS to follow up and figure out what the hell's going on here. Now, this story has been published by Sputnik, and the reason why I wanted to call UPS to get some statements, some facts clear, I didn't call their press line, I called their general information line and asked just some general questions to figure out if it's odd that UPS has stopped delivering packages in Rosengard, which is a neighborhood in Malmo, over fear of being assaulted. First, I am not a particular fan of Sputnik, nor do I trust Sputnik or RT. It's fine if you do, I don't, considering their sources. Keeping in mind, I don't necessarily trust US sources either. But I understand. Let me make one thing clear before we move forward. RT, Sputnik, and their properties love publishing stories about the migrant, issues in Sweden. And they really, really wanted to buy the rights to some of my footage from Sweden, and I just refuse. Absolutely not. I don't trust their motives, and I don't want to be involved. That's fine. There's very few organizations I'd be willing to sell my footage to on top of that, because I don't trust American networks either. The point being, here's the story we have. They say, the U.S. shipping giant has stopped delivering parcels to one of Sweden's most multicultural towns' notorious no-go zones amid a wave of attacks on its personnel from locals. UPS is merely following in the footsteps of Sweden's own national post service, PostNord, which last year halted mail delivery to parts of Stockholm and Malmo. As I am not someone who typically likes to use derivative sources for the most part, I have pulled up the official original source. This is Expressen. So, yes, this is Expressen. Okay, it says Kaval Posten, so I don't know what that is. But the website is expressen.se. And the reason why that's important is that Expressen has actually been accused of harassing more conservative voices, that they've gone to people's homes and published the information on private individuals, essentially doxing them because of their opinions on the internet. So in no way is Expressen considered to be a right-wing source. This is a straight-up Swedish source. Now, here's what they actually say. And this is a terrible translation from Swedish to English using Google Translate, but we'll read through it. They say, Two-child dad Marco Padoan lives in a villa at Vastra Katarp, and the whole family is thrilled. Recently, Marco, who is a freelance photographer, ordered business cards and asked to have them sent to his home. The day the package was coming, he was at home and took care of the children. UPS did not come. Suddenly, he received a message that the company UPS had tried to deliver the package at the door. Shortly after, he received a new message that the package had instead been handed over at the company's delivery point at Rosengard Centrum, like Central Rosengard. They can't have been here at all. Not with that short time span, says Marco. He contacted the business card company to ask about the delivery and received a reply in an email on Friday evening. They write that that UPS no longer delivers to home addresses in Rosengard, in the Rosengard area, because of the risk of being exposed to robberies or other crimes is too high. Now, this is coming from the delivery company. This is coming from the business card company. That's what their statement was. Kaval Posten has applied for UPS, they've reached out for a comment from UPS without success, but in a conversation with Sydsvenskan, a customer service employee confirms the situation. Our drivers have been attacked, and therefore we have decided not to hand out packages at Rosengard, the employee says. Now, they go on to say that Marco finds the stopping the service is discriminatory. The stop was introduced 2 months ago, according to UPS. In addition to Rosengard, there are also a number of areas in Stockholm, says UPS, without specifying in more detail which areas apply. Now, I'm curious. They said they couldn't get a comment, but I don't know where this comment comes from. Could be a translation error. It is several thousand people who have this postal address in Rosengard and who now cannot expect to be able to receive packages via UPS home delivery. I live here with my family and enjoy it very well. I do not understand their decision, but it is well-founded in the bad rumor that exists. There are many who say both one and that the other about Rosengard. Okay, one thing or another. In contact with Sydsvenskan, UPS announces the stop does not apply forever, but that it is unclear when the company can start delivering to home addresses in Rosengard again. This is from Magnus Andersson. This is from it's Kaval Post, but it's Expressen.se. I'm not sure how that works, and I'm only assuming that because it's got the Expressen website that it's going to be a legitimate news source. But I did place a phone call to UPS because I have one important question. Okay, I went to Rosengard. I had no problems. A lot of people. We walked around at night. We walked around at night all throughout Rosengard, literally had no problems. We went to the home of a Muslim and we literally had no problems, albeit we were told some pretty shocking things about the beliefs of certain individuals in the town, but nobody bothered us. And Rosengard, Malmo specifically, has a very low crime rate. It's very high for Sweden, don't get me wrong, but it's extremely low relative to, say, Chicago. It got me wondering, does UPS have restrictions on Chicago, for instance? This is not a comprehensive report. I simply called UPS and asked them, in the Chicagoland area, and I chose Chicago because it's notorious for its crime in bad neighborhoods, are there any areas where UPS will not deliver? I got specific. I said, for safety concerns, do your drivers, or is there anything within the company that says you cannot deliver to certain neighborhoods or addresses? And the woman said, give me a minute, let me do some research. She gets back on the phone and she says, we have no delays. The only stoppages are in the Philadelphia area. And I said, oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm asking specifically about if I was going to run a business and needed to ship things to Chicago, are there any neighborhoods in Chicago you will not deliver to? And the response was, oh, no, we have no restrictions as so long as there is a road to get, and the building is accessible, we will deliver to anywhere in Chicago. And that's really shocking considering that that Chicago is really dangerous. Like compared to Malmo, compared to Rosengard, like here's the thing. What I've explained in my coverage of Sweden, and this was almost 2 years ago at this point, over 2 years ago now, is that yes, crime is up in Malmo. It is way up. But they have very little crime to begin with, and it is a town of about 300,000 people. Not the biggest place in the world. Chicago has substantially more murders. It has substantially more people. But let's go by per capita, per 100,000. Chicago has, I think, I don't know the exact numbers, but it is way higher than Malmo by several 100% or more. So I'd have to wonder, what is it about Rosengard that makes it so UPS is saying they won't deliver there, but they have no problem delivering in Chicago? It's interesting, right? And there's a few things I can think of. UPS drivers in Chicago are probably much more hardened. They're probably used to certain neighborhoods. They know what they're getting themselves into. Maybe they know people in the community. More importantly, I think you grow up in Chicago, you're going to be, carved out of wood, to say the least. You've experienced, I've been shot at, right? I've seen people draw guns in fist fights. I've seen dead bodies in Chicago. I did some night crawling there once for a video. In Sweden, these drivers aren't used to this. So they're probably like, whoa, someone got attacked. Man, I don't want to go there. I'm scared. In fact, when we went to Sweden, we interviewed a guy who was terrified to drive through these neighborhoods. And it was crazy to me because I'm like, dude, I grew up in Chicago, man. If it's crazy that you're scared of this neighborhood to me. Because man, it's just, it's not scary. But I can understand why they are scared because crime is up. So here's what I think might happen. UPS drivers in Chicago are like, yeah, I'm used to it, man. Whatever. UPS drivers in Sweden are going like, oh my God, there's more crime. What do I do? So if you put a UPS driver in Chicago, they'd probably have a panic attack and throw up all over themselves and start shaking on the ground out of fear. And if you took a Chicago UPS driver and put him in Sweden, he would laugh the whole time. So that could be it. But there's another issue. It's possible that there's a different mentality on crime. American citizens who commit crimes understand the rules and ramifications and have ties to their community. That means even in a dangerous neighborhood where there's a lot of gang violence, people in certain neighborhoods in Chicago are probably like, I'm not about to fuck with the UPS driver, all right? Because we don't want to shut down deliveries to our neighborhood, and not only that, I'm not going to go to prison. There's other ways to steal from UPS if you want to steal from them. But when it comes to Sweden, you have a lot of people who are migrants who don't have the same kind of ties to the community. So that's possible too. Although I think ultimately what it comes down to is the crime rate in Malmo is dramatically lower. But what you need to take into consideration for the crime is context. If I walk into a certain neighborhood in Chicago, I might get robbed or attacked. Other people might not. There's important context to the crime. In Chicago, a lot of the murders we hear about, it's gang, drug-related, or sometimes just social media beef. Seriously, a lot of the murders over the past few years have been dudes arguing about girls on the internet, and they show up and they get hard with each other. What that means is, like, you want to get hard, that means, it's going to, like, hard as a motherfucker, right? Ham. It means you're going to get crazy. You're going to shoot somebody. And so someone will go on social media and throw some shade at somebody else, and then the person gets mad, shows up with a gun, and unloads on them. A lot of it's gang violence, it is, but not like, I think most of it might be, but there's still a lot that's cultural issues. So in that sense, you probably can walk through some really dangerous neighborhoods and they're going to leave you alone because they don't know you or care about you, and no one's going to stick their neck out for like, no one's intentionally going to try and go to jail by killing you. Admittedly, there are some neighborhoods where they do have to kill to join the gangs, and sometimes you can get caught up in that. If the violence is different in Malmo, like much less murders, we heard a story about in Gothenburg. Somebody chucked a grenade onto a balcony, killed an 8-year-old boy. It was an English boy on vacation. So we have to consider, although there's much less crime per capita in Malmo, is it random? Because if it is more random, I can understand why UPS wouldn't want to go there. In Chicago, in my opinion, it's less random. That's my understanding. In which case, UPS drivers are probably like, I don't care. Nobody cares about me. Like, I don't know. They're going to leave me alone. If there's a concern that a UPS driver is going to be subject to random assaults, then they're going to, say no way. Now, Sputnik noted that the Post Service, Post Nord, is also refusing to go to certain areas. And they also mentioned that there are a number of areas in Stockholm UPS won't go into either. We also know that in Uppsala, there has been a warning, and again, it's been years since I've covered this, where Moroccan teenagers are gang assaulting women, sexually assaulting women. So they may be facing less crime per capita, but it's particularly bad crime, and it's more than they've ever experienced. So you know what, I'm going to leave it there because I really don't know why UPS would do this, but I'm going to say I lean more towards the UPS drivers in Sweden are probably less hardened. To use the language of Fight Club, as I did earlier, they're wads of cookie dough, and the drivers in Chicago are carved out of wood, right? Big difference. So that may be it, or it really could be that different cultures commit different kinds of crimes for different reasons. I don't know. I don't. But I do find the story interesting, so I decided to reach out to UPS to see if that was the case, and there you have it. So anyway, stick around. I got another video coming up at 4 p.m. on my main channel, youtube.com/Timcast. I will see you then.